So who knew tangerines would cause chaos in a relationship?
Cuties.
We'll talk about that and the entire reunion special for Love is Blind. My name is Kevin.
I'm Tarsha.
And this is Conversations with the Crawleys, where we have conversations about faith, family, relationships. And we do recaps, reviews, and commentaries on our favorite shows. This one, as I mentioned, is all about that reunion special and the after clip for Love is Blind, Season 3. This is content that you enjoy, and I'm sure it is because the algorithm at least brought you here. But to keep you coming back, hit that like, hit that subscribe, request notifications,
and share.
And we'll see you in the comments. And consider becoming a member of the channel and checking out the merch store. All right. So we got Nick and, is it Vanessa Lachey?
Uh-huh.
That's her name. Okay.
That's her name.
Nick and Vanessa bringing out the couples. And so they're sitting down with everybody from this season that was based in Dallas, right? Alex and Brendan are on the couch, and Matt and Colleen on the couch, and then the guys that didn't connect, they sitting over on the other sofa, and the ladies that didn't connect are sitting on the other sofa, and they just kind of chit-chatting. We find out about Alexis, and as far as her statement of not wearing the same outfit every over and over,
she returns it. She wears it and returns it.
Hey.
I know they do that. Some high-end stores.
Hey.
They pay $500, keep the tag on and be tucking it.
Hey.
And then just turn it right back
and
to the
hope
store.
nobody spill nothing on it.
That's when they're mad because they have to keep it.
So if y'all see Alexis out, just go ahead. Oops, did I spill my wine on you? Oops. Is that some barbecue sauce on there? But that's her thing. That's how she handles that. All right. So it kind of kick off with Cole and ZANAB and talking about them. We get the recap, of course, of the pool party incident as far as Cole talking to Colleen. Colleen says that it was hard for her to watch.
Yeah, because she really regrets entertaining it and feeling like, she was disrespecting ZANAB and Matt. But she did share with Matt the night of. So Matt already got mad back then.
We saw that. So that gives some context, in my opinion, that he at least, I applaud Colleen as much as we kind of talked about her just being a ballerina and even from the pods being shallow. I applaud her for being able to say, this is what happened. So I apologize that this happened, but coming clean with him. That way, especially on this show, especially when you're in reality TV, it's going to be seen. It's going to come out anyway, right? So you might as well deal with it and say it up front and let the chips fall where they may.
And Matt says, she did say verbatim. So what I saw was exactly what she said. So it wasn't a surprise for me. I was already angry that night. We had to talk me off the ledge then. So when I saw it, I was like, she was truly being genuine of everything that occurred that night.
Yes.
And so for Cole to watch it, he was like, yeah, I was taken back. I was having these feelings and I was just oversharing, I feel like.
Yeah.
So he said he was upset about himself as well and apologizes for his actions.
Yes.
Because you don't see the person, and then when you do, it is kind of take you back oh, I could see I was feeling that way, but you have to remember the reason why I picked my person was because of this.
Right.
And hold on to that while you're trying to get to know them when you don't physically feel like, oh, this is the person that I would normally match myself with.
Yeah, there's nothing, I don't think anybody would be like, oh, don't even say, feel that she's attractive. That's not what anybody's saying. But it's how you respond and how you act upon that.
How you act upon that.
Because you're going to, even in a committed relationship, you're going to see other people that are attractive. Period. But it's how do you respond to that? How do you
keep boundaries?
Right. So then they move on to SK and Raven, who did say they do not, or he said he does not. She was all ready to say yes. Basically, she says that she was caught off guard.
Yeah, because her family wasn't there. So the moment SK mother came in and kind of put the veil on her, and they had that moment, you could see Raven being vulnerable.
Yeah.
Because Raven didn't open up right away.
Nope.
You didn't see a lot of her being vulnerable throughout, them recording or,
and again,
through the episodes.
My opinion of Raven changed as we went on, because initially I thought she was just
a gold digger.
That too. But again, just seeing her with SK again, the right person.
So, he's saying SK was like, I was going to school. She wasn't interested in following me. I just didn't think it was the right time for us because school is important, and I couldn't see how that was going to work out.
Yeah. And
I'm thinking you should have thought about that before you signed up for this.
Yeah, because the hesitation that we saw, that was real.
Yeah, he said it. She said it felt like it was forever, like it was 5 minutes.
So that wasn't just them, dragging something out. According to them, that was real, and he didn't know until the last minute what he was going to say. Is what he said.
Right. It was like everything was unfolding in front of him one more time.
Right.
So it came to that moment.
But the update on them is that they are still dating.
They are still dating.
He's in California going to school. She's back in Texas, back in Dallas. But they're on a good level. They are doing well.
They're boyfriend, girlfriend, and they're doing everything that boyfriends and girlfriends do.
Yes.
Now, he said that something happened sooner. She said something didn't happen until
after the wedding.
After the
wedding ceremony.
The ceremony where they said that, the no. So
we'll see.
Who knows?
But yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, because I'm like, well, why didn't you just marry her?
Yeah.
I'm confused. But I guess there's no commitment. If it doesn't work out, they could walk away.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
We'll see. And then Raven is kind of shady on her Instagram. I peeped that out a couple of times.
I mean, she's shady.
She's a little shady because she put something about, I don't mess around with F-boys, I think it was. But, and she had a single earring on one ear like Bartiz wears. I see you, Raven. She's throwing that shade. She I couldn't deal with that.
Well, she said it though while she did. She was like, "That's just a turn off for me," because she gets it all the time.
Right.
So when you're used to getting that and it doesn't appeal to you, which for her it doesn't appeal to her, she was just like, "You're not offering anything in depth for me."
Right.
So with SK, with him really focusing on her and getting to know her, I think that's what really sparked her.
There's a recap. There was, just the way the producers kind of put it, there was tension between Raven and Nancy, and both of them were like, it was just, we really didn't. They were going off of their first impressions. They really never had an issue, and they're actually cool. Right. Kind of trauma bonded over the fact that Bartiz was even around them.
Well, they're just being women, right? And this is how you're coming off, and there's nothing bringing us together. And since that's the case, this is how I just feel naturally.
Yeah.
Now they got to know each other a little bit, and like, all right, you're good, but it's not like they still wanted to hang out.
Right, they're not
Let's
best
just be
friends,
honest.
Right. They're friendly because of the process that they both have gone through.
Correct.
Bartiz's attraction to Raven, kind of just piggybacking on some of that. She did say, Raven said that she was shocked at some of the footage. She was shocked at some of the things that he said, and especially when he's talking to Nancy about her, right? That was that. And then Nancy says that she at least appreciates the fact that he was honest, but that don't mean it felt good. That don't mean she liked it. At least you'd let me know where I stood, but...
Right, but it's the same thing Matt was saying. Because Carlene was very honest about that night. So Bartiz was very honest to her. Because Nancy said, he said it verbatim. What you saw on camera is what he said verbatim to me. So it was brutally honest, but at least I know it was honest. Right. And Bartiz was like, I just want to make sure people are not condemning me because of my feelings, but more condemn me for how I decided to say it and express it. I get where he was coming from because, again, yeah, now that you see the person and you know that's what you're normally attracted to, because he's not the only one. As we looked at previous seasons,
True.
The same things occur because that's why you take... That's why you put the blinder on, right?
I think though his approach, and yes, you can say, so we can say his approach was childish. His approach was cartoonish. His approach was, so y'all remember Tom and Jerry? I know I'm dating you, but y'all remember Tom and Jerry, or whenever Tom or the whole eyes bugging out, and that's kind of how he was when he saw Raven. It was like
immaturity.
It was very immature, very animated, very over the top.
It's when you're leading, I guess, by lust instead of like, oh, this is a person.
You thinking with the wrong head.
Exactly. You're an individual instead of just being a piece of meat. I'm like,
yeah,
dude.
Get to talk about Matt and Colleen. Mm-hmm. They are still together, but they're not technically living together.
Right.
And that's more so because of lease arrangements.
And I get that too. Because it's hard to be able to determine, am I going to be on the show or not? I got to keep living my life until that happens. And I know Colleen said specifically she had 2 roommates. And I know how it is when you had 3 roommates paying bills and then one of them trips out.
Literally.
And it's only 2 of you now trying to cover the bills for...
Literally.
For a place where your budget was for this. So I get how they have to work through that and wait till leases are broken and stuff like that. So
yeah. That would make a great story, but I don't think we can tell that story.
No, we can't.
Protecting people. All right. So they're good. They're still moving forward. Get to Alexis and Brennan. They're doing well. Their first fight was about dishes.
Right. So it was after they got married. Because remember, they weren't having any beef while they were going through the process. Yeah. Everything was all roses and, doves and everything. And now that they got married, we're fighting over who's going to be washing dishes. So, which is it's common. Yeah. But I like what she says that someone had gave her advice. Don't fight over what roommate
Don't
issues.
Fight over roommate issues in your marriage. Which that's a great way to view it. Yep.
Great way to put it.
I think we're gonna steal that.
No, we gotta make sure we get stuff done. It's 27.
No, I mean we're gonna steal that thought.
Oh, the thought. Okay, the quote. Gotcha. I was like,
wow.
Because roommate,
no, we passed that. All right. They did mention that they invited Andrew, but he chose not to fly in.
That was very bright.
That was very...
Everybody was like, very
intelligent
good.
Of him. Because even the ladies were like, that was just ridiculous.
Everybody knew he was a phony.
And I think it even gave me the impression that in the pods, that's kind of where they even realized that. So even before they may have seen clips or anything like that.
Because they pull out his visine and he's like, is my eyes dry? I mean, they were even clowning him because they were watching it while everybody else was watching. And I'm like... This guy is not for real.
No.
And that's what they were saying. Is like, look, you are going to get some people who are here just for TV. Yeah. And not for really looking for love.
Right. Bartice and Nancy, again, their topic comes up. Nancy kind of is like the thing that hurt her the most was that he had promised not to blindside her. She was like, the fact that you said no was not as bad as the fact that you caught me off guard and blindsided me.
I mean, you could say that with the other 2 couples, right? They didn't know it was coming until...
But he didn't. But he promised that, right? Don't know if for her it's like you promised that you wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
There's a difference between you could or could not, or you definitively say that you're not going to do that.
Because we did have one season where he went to her before they went up to the altar. And they could have a conversation like, hey, I got to talk to her right now. I don't want to go up to the ceremony until we talk, blah, blah, blah. Yep. So he could have said, you know what, I'm really having mixed feelings and I don't think I want this to happen. Yeah.
Because if you really care about somebody, in some respects, if you've made that commitment that you don't want to put them in that position, right? I would think you would have that conversation. But then we find out Bartice was like, after the wedding, before we say that, remember we were talking about this bracelet
that's supposed to be secure for life.
Yes.
She broke that like Wonder Woman. She like clunk.
Wonder Woman.
Here you go. Here's your forever. Go ahead and make that a whole chain now.
She's like, let it dangle from your other ear.
Okay.
So yeah, that permanent bracelet became very unpermanent very quickly.
I'm like, dude, you get all dramatic. You take her to this place where you're committing forever, and then you can't commit.
Yeah.
I think those are the things. It's like you added on to it. You just kept piling on like you're gonna do this to turn around not to do it.
So then there is the conversation of Bartice having a woman like the next day. You're like, yeah, there was some tall blonde woman. He's like, what are you talking about? Dude.
It was when you're in, or somebody was recording it or something.
We saw the video. Yes, we were on a boat. Nothing happened that day, but things did happen that weekend. And I don't feel like talking about my sex life with you. Ain't nobody saying nothing about your sex life. They were just saying you were connecting with someone just after you were, saying that you loved her and you still wanted to maybe try later on. Because remember, that was part of his wedding thing. He said no, but he was like, maybe we can continue on, see where this goes. And Nancy was like, you said no to today, so that means no tomorrow, no 5 weeks from now, no 11 months from now, no.
Well, and he was saying, well, I was coping because she said we weren't going to ever get back together. So that's just the way I cope. I just didn't know what to do. I started partying.
Okay.
So, again, you don't know how to even reflect on your emotions and how to work through when you've been through, a process or experience of saying you love someone. It's a loss. Typically, for most people, it's grief.
Yeah.
Now, do people show grief in different ways? Yes. And maybe that is something he might need to work on. Because if you're grieving and you reaching for the bottle or you reach into other means to just resolve it by being with random people, I feel like there's something that needs to be worked on.
That's self-medication in just a different way.
It is.
It's just self-medication.
So he said, I understand it doesn't look good, which it doesn't, but again, people self-medicate in different ways.
Yep.
And he never called himself a saint. So you can't fault him from however he decided he was going to do what he was going to do.
So, yeah. ZANAB and Cole. So
yeah,
we get a recap, of course, of almost ZANAB's mothering of Cole. Pick up your clothes, put up your dishes, what have you.
And she said, "I look like a bee." I was like, "Pretty much."
Kinda, yeah. He explained the flies in the toilet, the flies and the gnats in the toilet, which I'm sorry, that's still nasty.
Well, I'm just saying, I've seen it happen where people don't do what they need to do.
True.
He's a bachelor. He said the lights were like he had a
power outage or something.
Power outage, and he had to leave for the trip.
Right.
To get to because he was chosen, and he forgot to take care of his business.
Yes.
Well, if you do it every day, guess what, Cole?
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about trying to clean up before you leave.
Very true. She does say that she could have shown more grace. Absolutely.
I believe that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, in their conversation, Alexis keeps alluding, because the ladies have a problem with Cole. The ladies keep alluding to stuff that happened off camera that did not get shown. There was something about supposedly he had gotten a girl's number the night of the bachelor party, and he came and told ZANAB. ZANAB's like, that's what you told me. Cole's like, what are you talking about? I don't know nothing about that. ZANAB's like, this isn't what I heard from somebody else. This is what you told me. Because Cole was saying, well, it was just all guys at the bachelor thing.
He said, we went to the rodeo, and we saw that. We went to the rodeo. And he said, after the rodeo, we went to a bar. Right?
It was just all guys, right?
All guys, right? And then even Matt says, well, I left the spot where we were by Uber. He's like,
so I don't know what you all did afterwards, right? Because I left y'all early.
I'm just telling you, there was no one around us. Well, oh no, they did went to bar together first.
Right.
Then they went to the rodeo.
Right.
And he said after the rodeo, I left. And everybody's like, we weren't together. Like nobody was like, we didn't hang out.
Right. And so because Cole was trying to make it seem like my guys can vouch for me, and the guys were like, well, at least Matt was like, Brendan, I'm sorry. At least Brendan was like, I can't really vouch for you. I know that we were lit that night. Matt was like, I can't vouch for you because I wasn't there. I went home because I had to go watch Colleen do ballet. So
nobody knew what she was talking about
except her and what she told the ladies.
Correct. So we're like, okay. And then she was like, and he was just talking down to me, and he didn't want me to eat.
And body shaming and everything.
Body shaming. We're like, what? Now we just weren't seeing it. We don't know if certain scenes were cut out. You know, ZANAB was leading like, oh, you know, the cameras either didn't catch it, or thankfully the way they cut the scenes, you don't look bad when you should be looking bad.
Right.
And we're just like, really? I mean, like, he was a little immature.
Yes.
But at times, like I said before, he seemed to be able to speak his emotions, how he was feeling. When he was treated like he was a kid, he told her, like, you're not being kind to me. You're not being nice to me, and I'm trying to talk to you. So now he's crying like, oh my God, did I destroy this girl's life? Wow, y'all hate me. Like, what did I do to y'all? And he's like really being put on the spot. Like, y'all call him, you're demonizing me, all this stuff, right? And so we're like, okay, we don't know. And I'm looking at you, you're looking at me like, what are we missing?
You know, because she kept alluding to or stating about this cuties incident, which are the tangerines.
The tangerines, because she had only a banana or something and peanut butter for breakfast.
Right.
And they were supposed to go out to eat, so she was trying to grab a snack, and then all of a sudden Cole was shaming her.
Why are you going to eat that? You need to, we're going to eat later, so you need to keep your appetite. So we can jump ahead to it because they do. I appreciate Love is Blind producers. They did say, okay,
here's the footage that we did.
Here's the footage. Watch for yourself.
And you make a decision. So Cole is just talking to her. Hey, why don't we do a second wedding and then and go to your family, and we can do it all at one time. They're in England. They're all spread apart. So, because he's never been to England.
Right.
He's like, oh, wow. So all your family in England, they live far away, blah, blah, blah. You know, because I think that would be really nice that we can just go and spend time with them.
Yep.
And they're a large family. So everything, she's kind of like shooting him down. And then it's like, well, where's your mom live? Oh, we could do it where my mom lives because all my cousins and my aunts and my uncles live there. So he said they live all in the same town? And she's like, well, yeah. Then he said, why can't we just do it there? Because before you were saying everybody was so spread out, and I'm trying to understand. She's like, yeah, I guess we could do it there. Like she's like zoned out or something.
Right.
And so she picks up the cuties.
Well, you know, she's
they were eating. They like both were eating.
Yeah, they were both like snacking on like grapes, or it was like finger food, right?
Right.
So she picks up the cuties and starts to peel it. And he's like, oh, you're eating cuties, or something to that effect, right? She's like, yeah, I just had a banana and such earlier. He's like, oh, why is that? He's
like, because I did try to offer you my Pokeball,
yeah.
Pokeball, but you said no. Yeah, I didn't want that, you know. And then he goes, oh, well, why didn't you want, you know, I was offering you food, but you weren't taking it. Well, you know, because of, you know, the things coming up with the wedding. So he's like, oh, you want to look a certain way.
Your wedding dress, right?
Your wedding dress. You don't want to be, you know, like he didn't even want to say anything derogatory.
Right.
So he's just kind of like motioning and what he's thinking, you know.
And he's like, well, you know, we got dinner tonight, big appetite, da-da-da. So if you're looking from a skewed vision, you could see from ZANAB's point of view, he said some things. But if you're looking at that just, again, and I said a skewed vision, right? But if you're just looking at that head on, I don't see what she's referring to. I don't see the body shaming that she's referring to.
It wasn't happening there.
Out of context with just a soundbite, yes, the producers could have made it seem like he was body shaming. But when we watched the whole thing
they
from
gave the whole
beginning to end,
content.
I don't see anything that would be considered body shaming.
Nothing.
Especially to the level that she mentioned, and then of course her friends co-signed.
Because she done told this whole story that he didn't want me to eat cuties and he just wanted me to starve to death. He offered food. Right. He said, I offered you something, but you didn't want it.
Yeah.
So if he was body shaming, why would he offer her any food?
Because she's saying that he pushed food away from her, that he was like, eat a salad instead. So the things that, yes, if someone were body shaming, someone were doing that type of thing, yes, the things that you're expecting them to do, she's saying that's what he did, but we still don't see that.
We don't see it.
So say what you will about Cole, because again, one of the things we try and be on our channel is we try to be balanced. We try to bring male-female perspective. We try, and if somebody's right, somebody's wrong, somebody's wrong. I didn't see that portion from Cole. Cole has other issues, but that wasn't it.
That wasn't it. At moments, he can be, childish and over the top with it. But at moments, he was really speaking his piece and being very honest about how he wanted to be treated.
Yeah.
And how he felt about certain things.
And so back to the reunion when all of this is being discussed and whatever, Cole, like you mentioned earlier, is like really like distraught.
Yes.
And so he apologizes to everyone. He's like, I don't know where some of this is coming from, because that's where, he was like, I don't know if you're bipolar, because you saying stuff happened and it didn't happen. You're back and forth on some things. So
right. And then when she's putting all this, when he's trying to have a conversation about let's doing something, and she says, I have to listen to you. Did she not say that?
Yeah.
She even said it in that clip. Well, because you're doing Cole's or something.
Yeah.
And he's like, what's that? He's like, I do talk plain and very direct. Yep. So I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So yeah. He might have dodged the bullet and didn't realize it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yep. I can agree with that. So, she does say that she forgave him when she walked away. He, is distraught near the end. They finally do, of course, wrap up the reunion. And we don't know if there's going to be a season 4. I think that actually there is a season 4.
Okay.
I think I saw a report that it was filmed already. So probably will drop beginning of the year. We'll see. But the only way you'll get our great insight and be here for it is if you hit that subscribe and if you request notifications. But that's it for this one. We've got other videos you can check out. We actually are finishing up Married at First Sight as well. And then, of course, you can go back and watch any of our other content. Make sure you do that. We'll see you next time. Have a great one. Be blessed.
Bye.